Y'all smell that? It's an Angel Reese stinker. Look, look.
Y'all smell that? It's an Angel Reese stinker. Let me be clear about something. When Caitlin Clark has an off night, it becomes national news. Every sports show breaks down her shooting percentage. Every analyst questions whether she is overrated. Every social media feed fills up with hot takes about how she has been exposed. But when Angel Reese puts up one of the worst performances of the entire season, the same people suddenly go silent. No breaking news alerts, no hour-long debate segments, no viral takedowns, just crickets. So today, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to point out what everyone else is too afraid to say.
Here comes Angel Reese coming down the lane, blocked by Brittany Griner. You know it's bad when you're making Brittany Griner look good. Blocked by Brittany Griner. Okay, what we gonna do this time? Uh-oh, here we go. Going down the lane. Oh, man, another missed layup. Another missed layup. Here comes Angel Reese. Here we go. Posting up. Get in the lane. Smokes the layup. Oh, my God. Can you make a layup? Here we go. Look at
Angel Reese just went 3 for 13 from the field with more turnovers than assists, 0 made threes, and a series of missed layups so bad they made Brittany Griner look like a defensive genius. And that was before the headbutt. The entire basketball world wants to talk about Clark's flaws. Fine, let's talk about everyone's flaws. Stay with me, because the footage from this game will show you exactly why the Angel Reese comparison to Caitlin Clark was never real. Let us start with the raw numbers because they tell a story that no amount of spin can erase.
Uh-oh, here she go. Just throw out. What was that? You got the ball here. Kick it out. Why? Look, you don't even have your feet under you. You just throw it. Like, why would you shoot this? Explain that to me. You got to explain this to me. From this position, why would you shoot that ball up at the rim? Come on, man. Why would you shoot this? This is ridiculous.
Angel Reese finished this game with 8 points on 3 of 13 shooting. She had 2 turnovers, went 0 for 2 from three-point range, and shot 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Those are not the numbers of a superstar. Those are the numbers of a player who is struggling to find any offensive rhythm whatsoever. But the single game stat line only tells part of the story. When you zoom out to her last 3 games, the picture gets even uglier.
Angel Reese down there, you lose the ball. Aaliyah Edwards gets a flagrant foul on this. This is Aaliyah Edwards. She's called for a flagrant foul. Look at this. She got headbutt for a flagrant foul. That is nuts. First of all, throw the ball out. Once again, kick it out. You are forcing shots up at the rim. Look at it. She got headbutt.
Reese is averaging 12 points and 15 rebounds, which sounds impressive until you look at the efficiency. She is shooting 28% from the field over that stretch. 28%. And here is the detail that makes that number truly shocking. The majority of those shots are layups. She is shooting 28% on layups. That is not a shooting slump. That is a fundamental breakdown of finishing ability. She is missing shots at the rim that professional basketball players are expected to make at a high percentage.
Stop there. Take a look at this. Angel Reese refusing to get back on defense, cherry picking. Y'all want to talk about Caitlin? I'm going to show y'all everybody else too. Let's go. Angel Reese down low, throws it out. Okay, turnover. Look at Angel Reese. Look at Angel Reese. Not even, look, just walking. Now she didn't get back, and she gets a throw ahead lay in.
From three-point range, the numbers are even worse. Reese is shooting 20% from deep over the last 3 games. 20%. At that rate, every three-point attempt she takes is essentially a turnover. The defense wants her to shoot those. The opposing coaching staff is begging her to shoot those, and she keeps obliging them. From the free throw line, she is shooting 67%. That is below the league average for a post player, and it is a clear indication that her offensive game has serious mechanical issues that have never been properly addressed. When you put those 3 numbers together, 28% from the field, 20% from 3, 67% from the line, you get a player who is not just having a bad stretch. You get a player whose offensive skill set is fundamentally limited.
Last 3 games, Angel Reese, 12 points, 15 rebounds, double-double. You got your double-doubles, okay? 2 steals, 2 blocks, shooting 28% from the field, 20% from 3, 67% from the free throw line. Look at these percentages. 28% from the field, majority layups. You shooting 28% on layups. Nasty work. 20% from 3. Just don't shoot threes.
Now, here is the part that makes this entire conversation so frustrating. When Caitlin Clark has a bad shooting night, the entire sports media ecosystem treats it as a major event. Analysts break down her shot selection. Critics question her efficiency. Social media fills with takes about how she is not actually as good as advertised. But when Angel Reese puts together a 3-game stretch like this, shooting 28% from the field, with the majority of those attempts coming at the rim, the same voices go silent. There are no hour-long debate segments about whether Reese is overrated. There are no viral posts dissecting her shooting mechanics. There is no national conversation about her offensive limitations. The double standard is so obvious that it has become impossible to ignore, and that is why this breakdown exists. Because if we are going to hold Clark to an elite standard, we need to hold every other player to the same standard. Otherwise, the conversation is not about basketball. It is about narrative. The numbers are bad, but the footage is worse. Watching this game back, you see the same patterns repeating over and over again.
Was ever compared to Caitlin Clark. I think Angel Reese is a quality role player, a great rebounder, a good defender, but we got to keep it real. This girl should have never been compared to no damn Caitlin Clark. Y'all was sniffing glue. Y'all was sniffing paint. I don't know what y'all was doing, ever thinking this was a real conversation. She's headbutting people. She's knocking people to the floor. She's missing layups left and right.
Angel Reese coming down the lane, getting blocked by Brittany Griner. Angel Reese posting up, getting into the lane, and smoking an uncontested layup. Angel Reese catching the ball beyond the arc, rising for a 3, and airballing it so badly it does not even hit the rim. These are not difficult shots she is missing. These are the shots that professional basketball players are supposed to convert. Layups, open looks at the rim, high percentage opportunities created by her teammates. And she is failing to convert them at a rate that would be unacceptable for a high school player, let alone a professional athlete. The most damning sequence comes when Reese catches the ball in the post with her back to the basket. She has position, she has the defender on her hip. The correct play is to either make a decisive move to the rim or kick the ball out to an open shooter. Instead, Reese forces up a shot from an impossible angle, throwing the ball at the rim with no footwork, no balance, and no chance of success. The ball barely grazes the rim. The possession ends with nothing. And this is not an isolated incident. It happens repeatedly throughout the game. The same forced shots, the same refusal to pass, the same lack of awareness of where her teammates are on the floor. It is the offensive game of a player who has never learned how to play within the flow of a team system. There is a moment in the footage where Reese is standing on the baseline, off balance, with no angle to the basket. The correct play is to kick the ball out, reset the offense, and let a guard create a better opportunity. Instead, Reese throws up a wild shot from the ground, as if she is playing a game of horse rather than professional basketball. The ball has no chance, the defense barely has to contest, and the possession ends with another empty trip. This is the kind of play that gets players benched at lower levels of competition. At the professional level, it is simply unacceptable. And it happens again and again with Reese. The offensive awareness is not there. The shot selection is not there. The willingness to trust her teammates is not there. What is there is a player who has built her reputation on rebounds and hustle, which are valuable traits, but not enough to justify the superstar treatment she receives. If the shooting performance was not bad enough, the game also featured one of the most bizarre sequences of the entire season. Angel Reese lost the ball in the paint, and as she was scrambling to recover, she collided with her own teammate, Aaliyah Edwards. The collision was violent enough that Edwards was called for a flagrant foul and a technical foul. But here is the strangest part. Edwards was the one who got hit. Edwards took the brunt of the contact, absorbing a headbutt from her own teammate during the scramble. And yet, the officials assessed the penalty to Edwards. That is how chaotic the moment was. The referees could not even figure out who was at fault because the entire sequence was so out of control. What made the moment even more revealing was Reese's reaction. Instead of checking on her teammate, instead of helping Edwards up, instead of taking any responsibility for the collision, Reese stood over her and talked trash. She talked to her own teammate as if Edwards were an opponent. The body language was jarring. A player who just collided with her own teammate, who just caused her own teammate to be assessed a flagrant foul, was standing over her and running her mouth. That is not leadership. That is not competitiveness. That is ego run amok. And it is emblematic of the chaos that seems to follow Reese wherever she goes. The game was already slipping away, and instead of refocusing, Reese was creating more drama. This is the hidden cost of the Angel Reese experience. She brings energy, rebounding, and defensive intensity. Those are real contributions. But she also brings chaos, missed layups, forced shots, defensive lapses, confrontations with teammates, technical fouls, flagrant fouls, and a general sense that the game is being played on the edge of control at all times. For a team trying to build a championship culture, that kind of unpredictability can be corrosive. Coaches want players they can trust to make the right play in big moments. They want players who will keep their composure when the pressure rises. They want players who will lift their teammates up rather than standing over them after a collision. Reese, for all her talent, has not yet shown that she can consistently be that player. And the footage from this game makes that painfully clear. The most damning footage from this game has nothing to do with shooting. It has to do with effort. In multiple sequences, Angel Reese is seen refusing to get back on defense. She walks, she jogs, she stands at half court while her team plays 4-on-5. She cherry picks, hoping for an easy basket while her teammates scramble to stop the opposing fast break. This is the kind of behavior that gets players labeled as selfish, as stat chasers, as players who care more about their own numbers than about winning. And it happened repeatedly. Not once, not twice, but multiple times throughout the game, with the camera catching her walking while the play went the other way. The contrast with elite players could not be starker. The truly great players in basketball history compete on both ends of the floor. They sprint back on defense after a missed shot. They take pride in stopping their assignment. They understand that every possession matters, not just the ones where they have a chance to score. Reese, by contrast, seems to view defense as optional. She is willing to expend energy chasing rebounds, because rebounds show up in the box score. But she is less willing to expend energy getting back on defense, because defensive effort does not show up in the highlights. That is the behavior of a player who is more interested in personal statistics than team success. And it is a red flag for any coach trying to build a sustainable winning culture. There is a sequence in the footage where Reese is standing at half court while her team is defending a fast break. The opposing team scores an easy layup because the Fever are playing 5-on-4. Reese never moves. She never tries to get back. She simply watches as the ball goes through the hoop and then jogs to the other end for the inbound pass. That is the kind of play that would get most players pulled from the game immediately. It is the kind of play that coaches show in film sessions as an example of what not to do. And for Reese, it is not an anomaly. It is a pattern. A pattern that has been visible to anyone watching closely, but that rarely gets mentioned because the conversation around Reese is so often focused on her rebounds and her double-doubles rather than her complete game. At this point, the comparison between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark feels like a distant memory, a relic of a time when people genuinely believed these two players were on the same level. Clark is an offensive engine, a player who creates shots for herself and her teammates, who sees the floor 3 steps ahead of everyone else, who forces defenses to bend and break just by existing on the court. Reese is a quality role player, a great rebounder, a good defender when she commits to it. A player who brings energy and physicality, but she was never Clark. Not in skill level, not in basketball IQ, not in offensive impact, not in the ability to elevate teammates. The comparison was always a media creation, built on a college rivalry and a taunt in a championship game, rather than on any genuine similarity in their games. The numbers tell the story. Clark breaks records every time she steps on the floor. She leads the league in points created. She is rewriting the record books in categories that have existed for decades. Reese grabs rebounds, which is valuable, but it is also the easiest statistic to accumulate through effort alone. Rebounding does not require the same level of skill as shot creation, playmaking, or efficient scoring. It requires effort and positioning, which Reese has in abundance. But it does not make her a superstar. It makes her a specialist. And the difference between a specialist and a superstar is the difference between a role player and a franchise cornerstone. The sooner the basketball world accepts that distinction, the sooner the conversation can move forward honestly. None of this means Reese is a bad player. She is not. She has carved out a role in the WNBA, and she plays that role with energy and intensity. But she was never the rival to Clark that so many people wanted her to be. She was never the co-star of a new era. She was a rebounder who happened to be in the right place at the right time when the sports media needed a foil for Clark's rise. And now that the gap between them has become undeniable, the same media that built the comparison has quietly abandoned it. The result is a strange situation where Clark is held to an impossible standard, while Reese is given a pass for performances that would get other players benched. That is not fair to Clark. It is not fair to Reese either. It is not fair to any player who is being judged not on their actual ability, but on a narrative that was never grounded in reality. Angel Reese just turned in one of the worst shooting performances of the entire WNBA season. She went 3 for 13 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. She missed layups, she airballed threes, she forced shots from impossible positions, she refused to get back on defense. She got into a collision with her own teammate that resulted in a flagrant foul being assessed to the wrong player. The sports media that eagerly dissects every Caitlin Clark off night remained silent. That is the double standard. Clark gets national scrutiny for shooting 40% in a game. Reese gets a pass for shooting 28% over a 3-game stretch. If we are going to have honest conversations about this league, we need to hold everyone to the same standard. The comparison between Clark and Reese was never real. Clark is a generational talent rewriting the record books. Reese is a quality role player who rebounds well and plays with energy. There is no shame in being a role player. The shame is in pretending that a role player is something more, and then ignoring the evidence when the gap becomes impossible to deny. So here is the question: should the media hold every player to the same standard, or is the unequal treatment of Clark simply the price of being the face of the league? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want more in-depth analysis and the biggest stories in basketball, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We will be here covering every game, every performance, and every double standard. Click the video on the screen, and I will see you in the next one.